Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Omnifactory. And last time we got the reactor and the fuel processing set up. This has been running without any issues. I had to change this redstone just slightly. I wanted to bump up the threshold that when this turns on, because there was sometimes a condition where the power would reach like 1% and then there would be no comparator signal to read and it wouldn't turn itself back on. And so there was a couple of times where I would step away for just 10 minutes just to take a break. I would come back and this reactor would have stopped and like the whole base basically shuts down. So that hasn't happened since I added this item frame here to measure the signal. Basically this outputs a signal, then this comparator compares it, and this is in subtract mode. Effectively what this does is it increases the threshold for it to turn off, and that seems to have fixed it. So yeah. And just at the end of last episode, we were working on the tier 4 microminer. So we built our medium microverse projector. I've hooked up the same logic here with the export buses and the level emitter as we did for the small microverse projector over there. At the end of last time, I mentioned about missing these energetic thrusters. The only thing we were missing from this was vibrant crystals, which is vibrant alloy and emeralds. I set that up over here. So it's just a fluid extractor, melt and vibrant alloy, and then an autoclave with emeralds to give us vibrant crystals. And that just gets added to this drawer. So that's those taken care of. We were also missing quantumize for these HV field generators. I set that up next to where we have radon. That was just one machine to add over here. So this is just a chemical bath being supplied by an interface with a pump on insert there. And then it gets Eyes of Ender, and this makes quantumize and gets sent to this drawer. And the last thing we were missing for this mission was Wither Realm data. And I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago I set up the Wither DML, but I added a loop fabricator to make us Wither Realm data here. I just have it limited on 512 for now, since well, I'm not sure we'll need that much of this, but yeah, it's there, it's automated now, so we have access to that. So I believe we can now request the tier 4. So we'll request, in fact, let's do 4 of them. Let's do 3 more. Yeah, one more thing, I added an alloy smelter over here to make these microminer engine cores, as I realised this was an EV recipe. This will probably end up moved, but yeah, for now it just allows us access to make these engine cores. And looking through the other recipes for the tier 4 microminer, there's 3. One can get you dense ores, one can give us iridium and osmium, which is the one we're after. And then there's this other one for dense oil sands and infinity dust blocks. I really don't see the worth in this recipe. Like, oil sands I think can only get you oil. And we have basically free oil. Like, if you look at our oil count, we're up to 11,000 buckets. Like, we have no use for oil, or no need for oil. And the Grains of Infinity is very simple to automate. Maybe I'm missing something, but I really don't see the point of sending this mission, so we're probably never going to do that one. But yeah, this also takes the petroleum dust, which we should have plenty of. I may have to bump up the threshold on that, but we have got it automated. Yeah, we're at 256. So the craft is finished here. It's put all the items into the storage crate for us, and all we have to do is take these items, come over to our extended crafting tables, craft the mining lasers, and then on the elite bench we can craft the tier 4s. And oh wait, that's only 3. Oh, it wants these mining lasers back in the ME system, that's right. And then it'll spit out, yeah. And actually, it looks like I encoded one too many of these guidance systems in there, so I'll edit that while I remember. Take one out of the recipe and put it back. So now to launch them, all we have to do is request this item. And I guess we'll launch all 4 at once. It's going to send these items into the microverse projector. Alright, nice. I also hooked up the output here, so it's just going to dump the items into an interface. And that will go into our ME system. So any minute now we should see some iridium and also osmium in here. So when we process the osmium, we actually get a chance of iridium as well. I didn't realise that, but that's quite nice. Let's go and add it to our ore processing system. There's no reason to keep it as ore, is there? No, I don't think so. I think we're okay to just process it all. This shouldn't take too long at all, since these things are really quick with the overclocks off. And now that we have access to osmium, we can actually jump back a bit in the quests and get this gemstone sensor. Remember that we were gated by the osmium rod here. So first we have to get ingots, which means we'll need to set up a blast furnace for this. And we're getting osmium dust from the ore processing, so it's just the one step we have to do. Well, besides freezing the ingot, but we have that automatically. So it's a 3300 heat recipe. Let's see what kind of coil we require for that. Okay, we can do it in tungsten steel. So I'll add another blast furnace with tungsten steel. So 10 more coils. Blast furnace controller. An input bus. Output bus. And we'll put it down next to our YBCO here. Alright, I've hooked up the inputs and outputs. I just have to add osmium to this interface. And this should start cooking. Oh, it's a very slow recipe. We might have to overclock this, but we don't need a lot of it at the moment. We just need a few rods to send the microminers. Need to wait on the first piece so I can set the level limiter as well. And the storage monitor. And I noticed we're also up to 1100 lumium, which is nice. 1800 signalum. Yeah, these recipes are really slow. I might overclock these to IV now that we have the power to do that. Any second now we should see osmium ingot. There we go. I don't think that's a quest, but hey. I'll set the storage monitor and the level limiter. You know what, I am actually already going to overclock this because this is far too slow. Take that out, put an IV energy input bus there. And, oh, we might need more CEFs on this line. Or wait, no, I think the error is just because it stays on the recipe. After it finishes one recipe, it should fix itself. It's just because it started that recipe with not enough energy. I think it should be okay though. Yeah, the error text went away, it's fine now. And it swapped to slightly higher speeds at IV. And with that we can encode the osmium rod recipe they were missing. We'll add that to our lathes. Oh, and we're out of space as well. We'll have to expand that. That's easy enough to fix with another interface. And we can put the pattern in here. So now with this we can send out tier 3 microminers with this mission in order to get exquisite emeralds so that we can use those to get engraved crystal chips. So I'll create a new X-Tone recipe with the tier 3 microminer exquisite name. And then we'll encode this recipe. And then equal this block. Then we can add our pattern to this small microverse projector since this is tier 3. And I've set up the export bus for the logic to clear the crafts. So now if we search for tier 3 microminer. Oh yeah, I have to put this in as well. We'll see there's two, one for ores, one for exquisites. We want the exquisite one. And we have everything for this. Yep. Let's launch it. We should see this starting once it crafts the microminer itself. There's a couple of plates it needs to get, and circuits, things like that. Oh, and the mining lasers. I'll have to do that step by hand still. But eventually we'll have packaged auto for that. Just waiting on the engine cores. Yep, our projector's running. So this will give us the exquisite emeralds, exquisite diamonds, exquisite ruby. Oh, it gives us ruby as well. Do we need exquisites for anything? I don't think we need the exquisites specifically. But this can give us ruby dust, which can give us chrome. And we are a bit short on chrome, so that's actually useful. Looks like it's finished already. It gives us the exquisites here. So now we have to process these in the blast furnace, along with emerald plates. That's easy to do. Helium. I think we have loads and loads of helium. Oh yeah, 768 buckets of helium. That's no problem. And in fact, what recipe is this? HV at 5000. Our tungsten steel only goes to 4500, so we have to get the next one, which I believe is HSSG. And we haven't made HSSG yet, but I didn't expect to have to do this actually. So what does it take for HSSG? Vanadium, molybdenum, tungsten steel, and chrome. Alright, well this is going to take a bit of setup. Molybdenum I think we're getting from ore processing, so I think we have tons of that. Same with vanadium. Tungsten steel dust, we only have the ingot I believe, so we'll have to get that in dust form. And then chrome dust, we don't quite have fully automatic yet, but we have access to it. So yeah, let's set up some crafters for HSSG and then a blast furnace to set that up as well. Okay, so I've set up the auto crafting for this HSSG. We just need to add the recipe here and it will start crafting for us. And we'll add this to the drawer as well. Actually, I'm going to buffer that just so there's not too much in this crafter. I don't want it all in there. And yeah, we now have the dust in this drawer here, which is exposed to the ME network. So now we have to set up the blast furnace to cook this thing. And we're cooking. We're cooking at IV tier. We're making HSSG. I'll set the storage monitor again, as usual. This looks like it is a bit faster than osmium. There's the first ingot, that should be a quest. I think it is. Alright, so now we have to wait for enough to get the coil blocks in order to get the next tier of blast furnaces. So, in the meantime, let's pick up a gemstone sensor for the quest. I didn't get one of those. We can auto-craft these now, and it'll be used later on. There's the quest. Let's also pick up the exquisite gems that we got from the microminer for this quest here. And we have some recipes to encode, mostly the HSSG coil blocks, and also the recipe for emerald plates for these crystal chips. While we wait for the HSSG, let's also look at getting the second tier 6 circuits that I put off earlier on. I think we can actually get these already. So we have the quantumized automated now. We have the signalum wire, we have power ICs, chrome plating, multi-layer fiber reinforced. Yeah, we can do all of this, so let's order a few of these. Yeah, these crafts are getting quite expensive, but it's nice to have everything automated by now. It looks like we may have even more blast furnaces to set up today as well, because I was looking through the quest here for the engraved crystal chips. This step doesn't look too bad, even though it's IV tier. That's easy, but the recipe for the circuits that use these crystal chips all use fine niobium titanium wire. And obviously this is an alloy of titanium and niobium, which is done in a blast furnace. And then we have titanium already. However, we need niobium, and this we don't have yet. So wait, do we have the dusts of this? Yeah, we've got plenty of dust. Must be from ore processing, but we'll have to set up a blast furnace for niobium ingots, and then one more for niobium titanium. So that's 2 in total. Yeah, another 2 in total. We can do both of those at tungsten steel tier. There's one for niobium ingots. I have this set up, and then we just have to add the niobium titanium. So I was just waiting on the filter so I could set this for niobium and titanium. And this should be cooking as well, yep. And then I'll set the level emitters and storage monitors for these. I noticed that things weren't showing up, and it looks like our vacuum freezer is not able to keep up with the inputs on our hot ingots. So we could either set up another one or overclock this. And I think we should just overclock it. So what tier are we on here? This is HV, so we can go up to... Well, let's see if EV will do it right now. Might take a minute to catch up with all the ingots, but I'm not sure if this will be sufficient. We may have to go up to IV. In which case I'll probably end up moving it over. No, this doesn't look like it's able to keep up even at EV, so I'll overclock it to IV and move it over to this line here. In fact, we might just tuck it in right there, and then we'll start another row of blast furnaces. Actually, no, we're going to need a few more with... Let me decide what we're going to do here. Actually, once it got through the backlog, this freezer seems to be okay here. So I think I might just leave it for now. I'll keep an eye on it, but it seems to be alright. And I set the level emitters for these ingots as well. So we're up to 12 niobium titanium. Because this ingot uses this one, we won't have very much niobium for a while, but we don't really need it for a while. And I've set the limit to 1,000 on this. So once it reaches 1,000, this will backfill, and then, yeah, we can adjust it if we need to. So, what was it we were doing again? Oh yeah, HSSG, we have to wait a bit on this. And our second tier 6 circuits will probably be crafted by now. There's a quest. And these tier 6 circuits allow us to make all the LUV machines, including the processing array, I think, which I mentioned last time. This is something I really want to get. This processing array, which required the Scenarium, which we got access to last time via these curium and plutonium. So in between last night, I set this up, and this is basically to give us all of the stabilized nuclear fuels. So all those that we processed by our reactor. All of these byproduct fuels that we're processing through this third reactor are sent over here, and they're fluid extracted here into liquid and then solidified into balls here. So we have thorium, plutonium, uranium, neptunium, americium. We have americium plates as well because we'll need those for fusion later on. Curium, berkelium and californium. And the Scenarium requires plutonium and curium. And this is an alloy smelter recipe. It's 100 seconds, so it's pretty slow. But yeah, this allows us to get the processing array. So let's actually set up an alloy smelter for Scenarium. I've put in the recipe already, so we should be able to request this. And we're still not using the ideal circuits for this. We're still using the 3rd tier 5s. So I've got our alloy smelter here. This can sit here for the moment. I don't know if I want to passive this or have... Like, how much Scenarium are we actually going to need? Obviously we need it for processing arrays. That we're going to have, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 of these in total. Maybe more, I'm not sure yet. It's also used for enriched Scenarium and Scenarium plates. Solar panels. Let's look through the uses here. So, enriched Scenarium plates. This is all, it looks like this is all solar panels. Reactor stabilizers. Do we actually need the solar panels for anything other than energy, obviously? Okay, we need it for the ultimate generator. And we need it for Wyvern tier, which is for draconic, chaotic, neutronium. Okay, yeah, it looks like we do need to actually get quite a bit of this Scenarium for neutronium. So I might as well just passive it since we have the nuclear fuels passive. Although, is this really a good place for it? You know what, we'll swap places with this compressor since this compressor is temporary. And we'll keep the alloy smelter at the beginning of this line. Alright, so I put an interface on the side of this with a robot arm set to keep exact 2. This will just supply 1 of each item. And yeah, this is making us our first pieces of Scenarium. I guess we'll store this in a drawer with a storage bus, just as usual. And I don't really want to set the limit like crazy high. I think I might just limit it to 1 stack just for now. And done. We'll set the drawer. And that's our first piece of Scenarium. Nice. So let's make a... Actually, yeah, let's just make the processing array. We'll put in a recipe for it. Now, it looks like we have now all the materials we need for the processing array. See how expensive these things are. Obviously, it takes the IV components. It takes a lot of tungsten steel. Yeah, it's actually not that bad now that we have everything automated. Again, we're going to be drained on tungsten. So, and I believe the casings take tungsten as well. Oh, it takes tungsten steel for the casings. Yeah, 22 tungsten steel machine casings. Alright, so I'm just waiting on the last couple of ingots of HSSG cooking up. I've set up the outline for our blast furnace. So we'll put in the coil blocks that we currently have. And these definitely don't look as good as these. For sure. Tungsten steel all the way. Anyways, yeah. For these crystal chips, these obviously require 3 inputs. So we're going to have emerald plates. And we could use like crafting cards or something like that. But I think I would rather just auto-supply it. So I'm going to put an input bus on down the bottom here next to the energy cable. And we'll put a compressor on here. And we'll just supply this with emeralds. And it will just use the emeralds as it needs. So if we put an interface on here, give it emeralds, and then put a conveyor set to import. We'll need to change this out with the glass cable as well. This should give us emerald plates. Yep, and then that will auto output into the input bus. And then we need a fluid input hatch as well. We'll configure the fluid input hatch for helium. And we'll need some item conduit just as usual on the inserts and the extract as well. And I think we're done with that. That maybe doesn't look the best. Yeah, let's actually move this over. There we go. So I just need to wait on the last few pieces of HSSG. In fact, do we have enough? We only need 6 more coils. Oh yeah, we've got enough already. 5 and 6. That should form it and it instantly starts cooking. Nice. So what does this give us exactly out of this? It gives us the engraved crystal chips, which we need to cut. So actually, there's no reason to keep them as these crystal chips, so it might even be worth just cutting them on site here. Nah, we'll leave space for more blast furnaces and we'll cut them somewhere else. But that should even give us a quest. Yep. And hold on, is there any reason we would want to limit this? Maybe to conserve helium? Is there any other use for exquisite emeralds? I don't think so. So basically all the exquisites we want to turn into crystal chips. And then emerald plates we don't really care about since we have those through DML. So yeah, I guess there's no real reason to turn this off. I will add the storage monitor though, just for consistency. Alright, so yeah, now we have to process these in the next part of the quest. And then that should give us access to the final tier 5 circuits. So I think that all that's left to do actually is to cut them using the laser engraver. I thought there was one more extra set, but it turns out there's actually not. We can turn them into crystal SoCs, and these will give us an even cheaper version of the tier 5, but these require ZPM. So we won't do that for now. We'll just set up a precision laser engraver to give us these chips. Now that we have our niobium titanium, that gives us the wire. And those were the last two components we needed for the circuit. So let's go and encode a recipe for the laser engraver. And it has to be IV. Right, there's the laser engraver. Let's just put it in and see what we're missing. So this will need an upgrade, so it goes in the upgrade one. We are missing the emitter. Yeah, that's what I thought. So what does the emitter take? Osmium rods. Yeah, we can do all this. And this takes a green lens as well, so we need a sapphire or olivine. Or, oh wait, we can use emerald as well. And I think the only autoclave I have in this base is this LV one. So I guess we'll use this. There's the lens and the laser engraver. Let's go set this up to automatically cut those crystal chips. I'm not really sure where to put this actually. It's kind of hard to decide. This will probably end up all moved anyway. I might have to rebuild this, but I think for now we're just going to put it next to this Scenarium. Oh wait, I've just realised this is getting stuck as well. I'll have to fix that because it's only importing one thing. I might have to use limited item filters instead. Alright, so I changed this up a little bit. I ended up using the limited item filter after all here. And yeah, we now have our crystal chips being cut here. It's just got an interface being supplied by a conveyor. Pick up these to get the quest. And set the drawer. And there's no reason not to just cut all of these. So we're just going to cut them all. And let this drawer fill up. So now with those, we can put in the recipe for the final tier 5s. Oh, hold on a minute, I've missed a crucial step here. This takes LUV. And LUV takes tier 7 circuits, don't they? And this takes the assembly line. Oh man. Okay, that's something I did not expect. I mean, I probably should have because all the other ones take the next tier circuit, but I just wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, so we have to make the assembly line for this. Alright, well I don't think that's happening today. Yeah, the assembly line here is a whole multi-block structure. It's basically a bigger assembling machine for the higher tiers. And I think it's nothing we can't make, it's just quite complex to set up. So I think we're going to put that off for today. I think our processing array though is finished crafting. I don't know if there's a quest for that or not. Let's pick up the HSSG coil blocks just to get the quest as well. There's the quest. I'll put the coils back. Now that I've realised that we cannot progress in terms of circuit tier until we make this assembly line, it kind of changes things a bit. I was debating whether or not we should actually build this. Another option we could do is just to set up our processing arrays, probably over this side of the base. But yeah, set up processing arrays to give us faster processing, and then set up the processing line later on. The only thing with that though is we're going to be using lesser tier circuits, but we can get away with using maybe 8 of these processing arrays. So it's really not going to be that expensive. It's just going to be the casings, but I did actually overclock. Well, not overclock. I upgraded these electrolyzers to IV tier. Now that we have access to osmium, that was the thing that was gating us from this. So we're getting tungstate a lot quicker. And I've also upgraded the tungsten steel to IV as well. So we're up to 1800. We get like one every 20 seconds or so. So yeah, the casings shouldn't be a problem anymore. Doing it this way will allow us to get rid of these things here and replace them with processing arrays, and it will speed up on-demand crafting a whole lot. So actually, I think I've kind of talked myself into doing these processing arrays. I basically just really want to play with these new features of the dev version. And even things like this we can put in a processing array. So I think that's going to be the plan for next episode, is we're going to set all of those up for on-demand crafting. But I think that's just about all the time we have for today. I've been keeping an eye on this freezer a bit more, and it seems to be keeping up alright. So I think it's fine just to leave it where it is. So that'll be all for now. I'll prepare some materials for next time to start our processing arrays. And yeah, thank you again for watching, and see you tomorrow for some more Omnifactory.